Hi, Sam Spernat here for TheInformer. Today we're presenting a new program around property. It's called Property Matters, and I think that's the truest name. Who am I? Well, for the last 15 years I've been working in the property industry, not only as an estate agent, but as an independent buyers and vendors advocate. I made the change into the industry from the accounting area when I started to see what I thought my clients were doing was wrong. They were coming in with investment properties and they just weren't performing the way you would want an investment to perform. So today we're going to start a little bit of a look at what's happening in this post-COVID world around the property market. And I think the first topic we should really cover off is the old saying of all that glitters is not gold. What do I mean by that? Well, we're seeing a lot in the media around, there's going to be great opportunities, the market's going to crash, the market's going to boom. You know, God, I feel like if you ask 3 economists for an opinion at the moment about the property market, you're probably going to end up with 5 different opinions. And I think that's something that we've really got to look at is, well, what is actually occurring at the moment? We've seen the property market probably remain pretty stable through this time, but there are changes afoot, and change does bring opportunity, but it also brings an opportunity to make big mistakes. You know, when we're looking at the property market, what we want to look at is what's worked in the past should continue to work into the future. You know, there's the old saying, location, location, location. And I think a lot of us just thought it was from an estate agent who forgot what he was meant to say. I didn't know what to say next. And look, there's probably a little bit of truth in that too. But if we actually look at that saying, what it boils down to is the location of the suburb, the location of the street within the suburb, and the location of the property within the street within that suburb. And really, when you're looking at property, that's what you want to look at. Are you buying into a desirable area? Are you buying into the right street in that desirable area? And are you buying the right spot in that street? Now, obviously, not all property performs the same and not all property behaves the same. And this is why I said, you know, opportunity can bring a change, but it can also bring an opportunity to fail. And I think that's the really key point. There will be some bargains out there, and that's what makes me have alarm bells in my head. A reason a property is a bargain is usually because it's not very good. And if it is a bargain, that's when I'd be extra skeptical. With a lot of our clients, I often advise them around looking to history. History does repeat, believe it or not. Some may say a little bit too often. And what we've got to think about is, well, why hasn't that property worked? Is there a reason it hasn't worked? Or is there a reason this one has worked? And what I'd really like people to think about is, if it hasn't worked in the past, what makes you think your ownership is going to change that into the future? Whereas if a property has had really good, consistent capital appreciation over the years, is there a reason that's going to stop now? Like, have they magically put a freeway through the backyard or a train line? What you've got to look at though is minimising the reasons for people to say no into the future. And I think one thing that people often, get a little bit caught up in the hype of is a lot of the new properties, they're shiny, they're sparkly, they're fantastic. Well, that really is not a reason to buy a property. Let's take high-rise apartments, for instance. And we've all seen them go up across the cities at a rapid rate of knots, sometimes quicker than we realise, and sometimes it feels like a new one every week. If you buy into one of those blocks, when you come to sell it in 5, 10, 15 years' time, what you've got to remember is you might be competing with other properties, not only in the same block, but that are newer in the same area. And that's what you've got to remember. When you come to sell that property, you don't want people going, well, why would I buy this one when I can just buy that one? And that brings us to the law of supply and demand, which really brings in the scarcity argument. When I'm talking to clients, you want to buy a scarce property. That's something that you're not just going to find, every weekend in and out there. You want to buy in landlocked areas that are well established, where new property just can't be created by clicking your fingers. You've got to knock something down to build something new. You don't want a dime a dozen property. We've all seen the housing estates, we've all seen the high rises. They give me the heebie-jeebies, and inherently I do try and steer my clients away from them, which really then ties into the point of, when you come to sell these properties, who are you using to sell these properties? And one of my favourite things at the moment to talk about with people is, because let's be honest here, agents are a little bit hungry at the moment after COVID because they've been locked down for so long, and let's be honest here, they've got car repayments to make on those flash Mercs and BMWs. They're getting a bit desperate to get deals on the books. And one thing I talk to a lot of my clients, particularly the vendor advocacy clients, is buying the listing. What is that? Well, we've all had agents through our house, and one of the most frustrating things, and look, it's happened to me over the years when I've sold my own properties, is you get one agent who walks in and goes, oh, I'll get you 900 grand every day of the week. You get another who goes in and goes, I'll get you $1 million. And then you get the outlier who comes in and goes, 1.2, no questions, I'll get you 1.2. That's the one you've got to be the most worried about. Because to me, if you know your property's worth around that million mark, why are they saying 1.2? I can tell you now, it's not because they're probably better than everyone else. It's because they want the work. And they probably do want the work a little bit more than others. But if they're telling you porcupines to get the job, how do you think that's going to bode throughout the campaign? Are you going to be really getting the honest truth? Or are you going to be getting what the agent wants to tell you? Whereas if you had have gone with one of the more conservative agents who gave you a realistic valuation, you may not feel that, hey, they're trying to upsell, they're trying to, get the excitement going, they believe my property's worth more than I thought it was. They're probably thinking, well, if I know their house is worth $1 million, I'll tell them what it's worth, and then when I really push myself and I get above what I told them their property was worth, I should be happy because I've done a good job, and they'll be happy with me because I've done a good job. And really, that's the type of agent you want to work with. Someone who's got a bit of history, they can hang their hat on their past results. They're not just out there promising the world and delivering you nothing. And that's one of the biggest frustrations I find at the moment, and probably why the vendor advocacy industry has been growing hand over fist. It's not because we're all such great people and our clients want to deal with this, it's because they're sick of the lies and the spin coming out of these agents. What they want to know is not what you hope, but what you know. And that's one of the most common conversations I have with an agent when I'm getting them through a property is, I always remind them, tell me what you know you can achieve, not what you bloody well hope to achieve. Because when I go back to my client, believe me, and if you haven't done your job, it's not me that's being put down, it's you. And that means that every person they meet, it isn't, oh, well, such and such did an all right job, it's they didn't deliver. You want to be the agent that delivers. So the best advice I can give vendors out there is, don't fall for the spin and the hype. Go with an agent that you feel comfortable with, but that you also feel knows the market better than anyone else. That is the best advice I can give because it's the advice I use with my clients. I even cop a little bit of flack because I seem to use the same agents over and over again. Do you know why? They do their job. You don't need to reinvent the wheel. The wheel spins really nicely. Last time I checked, a square doesn't spin that well. So if you are thinking of selling, the best bit of strategy I'm going to give you is talk to multiple agents, get some of the older ones in, get some of the younger ones in, but know what your property's worth by doing your own research so you don't get sold down the river. I've been Sam Spernat for The Informer Property Matters, and I look forward to you joining us next time. Thank you.